All right. Before we move on to anything else, let's do a little warm-up and a little review. Always good to start with the last thing we did to make sure we keep up with our same training. Be consistent, right? So real quick, I'm going to put the sword to the side and do some leg reminder work. Remember to have that good balance between your legs. And I want you to think, when we're doing these practice sessions in particular, while we have free time, while we're at home, while it's not that big a deal, make sure that you're getting a good wide stance. Not so wide that you're compromising your ability to move, but often we'll go a little shallow so that we can maintain our footwork without getting too tired. But for the warm-up in particular, make it exercise. Make it good for you within your body's, limitations. If you can't go wider or lower because you have insert reason, right? Don't do this. But I'm telling you to try to make your training more effective by adding that exercise element, by adding something that challenges your body more than you might maybe do in a standard practice. So again, right there might be comfortable for me. I could stand here basically all day. So I'm going to go a little wider and a little lower. Now it's a little strenuous, but also being this low and being slightly wider allows me a quicker lunge, allows me more mobility. It improves my ability to be a threat in a sword fight, right? Side note, let's add our footwork. Remember, have your good retreat, step, step, your good advance, your good retreat. I'm gonna face you guys to the sideways one so we can get that involved. Advance, 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 retreat, retreat, retreat. One more retreat. Cross forward. I have to turn my sword so I don't hit the couch. Cross back. Right oblique, step, step, stay on one. Left oblique, one more left. Boom, boom. Did my legs today, so I need a little sword. Right oblique, back on one, right? Remember to keep, I feel my knee today. Remember to keep your good footwork while you're going through and practice these different leg movements in order to maintain our pillars of fence. We always think about blade work, right? You gotta keep your blade in the right spot. Often we forget about footwork and balance, our other two elements. So maintaining those two attributes while you're practicing. Make sure your feet are good. Make sure your balance is solid. All right? Okay. So, warm up with the feet. Let's include the sword. We'll walk through our parries again, and then we'll go into some more concepts for the day. So, without moving, I'm gonna walk through my bread and butter parries again. We've got parry 6, and I'm gonna do circle 6 first. Boom. There we go. 6, 4, 5, 7. Modified 6. 6. Oh, didn't like that one. 6. Come on. 6. There we go. Like that. 4, 5, 7, 4, 6, 5, 7, 5, 4, 6, 7. Just walk through them again. Make sure you remember how that goes. Let's add our half step back. 6, 4, 5, 7. Reset. 5, 7, 6, 4. Okay, so we've done our review, we've done our warm-up. Now we're going to add a couple parries and talk about the question I was asked is how to deal with a more aggressive opponent. Now, a problem with answering this question is context. Context dictates all of our fights. Everything's always changing, and you have to adapt what you're doing to match your opponent, right? Every opponent's slightly different. You can't go in there with a cookie cutter recipe and expect it to just, oh, this will without because I have the best cookie cutter set. Not how this works. One of your key attributes in becoming a good sword fighter is recognizing that you have to adapt what you know to match what you're facing, right? Bruce Lee, right? be like water. And when he says that, he asks you, what's the shape of water? And think about when you put water in a cup, what shape is it now? When you put water on the floor, what shape is it now? Whatever water is in will change the shape of water. It matches its context. It matches its situation. So be like water, right? So again, bear that in mind while we learn these things. Okay, now a couple parries we're going to add because these are good for dealing with more aggressive fighters, okay? So we know our 4 basics. You should know all the parries, hopefully, if you've been following along. But we're going to talk about parries that are better in context with a more aggressive fighter, okay? So one of our parries that we don't find a lot of use for, but it becomes very useful when you're dealing with an aggressive fighter, is parry 1. So parry 1 involves, now again, I'm going to show you from low guard and I'll show you from a high guard. From my low guard, my hand rotates up, my tip stays down, my palm rotates out as the true edge of my blade crosses my body and forms a wall of steel on the opposite side of my body, my weak side, right? So one more time, my hand comes up, my tip comes down, my blade comes across. Now I'm looking underneath my forearm, not over my forearm. There's one of the spots people will mess it up. Under my forearm, got it? Showing you from a high guard, right? If I'm in my standard high guard, this one you have to drop the tip first. Tip comes down, hand goes high, blade rotates so the true edge faces my weak side as I bring it across. So one more time, from a high guard, my tip comes down and then I come across. Common mistake, I bring the blade over. Remember, if the shot comes in straight and I go, whoa, I get stabbed anyway. We have to cross our center line with our parries. So remember that when you're practicing this one. So when is a parry 1 useful? If you know you've got an opponent that enjoys that deep charge, where they line up behind their shot and they throw commit, like a flechette if you're familiar with Olympic fencing. It is undeniable that a committed deep attack is effective. A committed attack is likely to hit, more likely than an uncommitted attack. Fighters will figure this out as they're growing, and most fighters have a point where they start leaning on this committed attack as part of their fighting regimen. And I don't mean this as in like great fighters don't have a committed attack. Great fighters are good at committed attacks. I'm saying when your attack is so committed, you're not concerned about defending or anything else. You're just thinking about how much you're going to land that stab by committing to this thrust. Because truth be told, they are hard to block, right? So it builds this false narrative that you're getting good numbers, when in reality you're getting doubles most of the time. Maybe you're hitting them, but you're leaving yourself so exposed, you likely get stabbed as well. That's not a win. That's not a masterful strike, right? Your style would have ended with you. But we face this still, and we don't want to die either, right? So what are good ways to deal with this? So let me show you one with parry 1. So we're in our on guard, and we know we've got that charging opponent, right? I'm sorry, we're in our on guard, and we know we've got that charging opponent. And this is a good note in general for all of our aggressive opponent fight mechanics. Measure, distance, right, is critical in how you're going to fight this person. If you close to a certain amount of distance, no matter how good or fast a fighter you are, your opponent will be able to stick you if they commit hard enough on their attack. We have that kill bubble, that extension where once I get close enough, you even knowing where I'm going to go will not save your life because I'm too close and my shot will come in too fast. You won't have enough time to react, right? So, distance and timing. This is like a common theme in sword fighting in general. But for dealing with an over-aggressive fighter, it is paramount that you remember distance and timing. Give yourself the distance to react. If you lose that distance, you are giving them the advantage in the fight. All right, so that in mind, right? You want to make sure that you're fighting at that range where you have enough time to react. The other thing you want to do is provide them that shot they want to take. I'm open here. I've given them that opportunity, right? And sometimes I'll even tip my sword and I'll put it to the side, go extra wide so I look extra exposed, or like I'm trying to do something sneaky and they want to catch me in the middle of it, right? So I'm giving them that opportunity. When the attack comes, I want to use my sword into a parry one, which I have to push in front of me. Don't parry one up close, you'll be dead by the time it does anything. I have to reach out and grab their blade. At the same time, I'm not just going to step back, I'm going to step slightly offline. So I also remove my body from the direct path of the attack. So when they come in, I step back and slightly to my left, right? Sometimes you'll have a more committed left, sometimes you'll have a more committed back. Make sure you're going away from their blade and breaking that center line at the same time when you make that one. So when possible, if you can provoke that attack, you see it coming, and as they come in, you parry one, step back. Now you've created a wall across this entire part of you. Depending on how hard they commit, will negotiate your next counterattack. Now often you're using this against someone who's like charging you, doing that extra coming in close. So after I've brought them offline, I'm going to transition my offhand towards where their blade is as I bring my blade back around and watch your roof for the counter cut, counter thrust, whatever they have open, right? So again, from my low guard, as they come in, I step obliquely and parry one. I transition to the cut. Now that one's like over my head. You don't have to do that. I'm trying to not hit my roof, right? What you really want to do is from here, turn straight into the cut. So you follow a singular line. Now you can from here like create awkward stabs and things. Context might change how you react to this, but generally you'll find this option works fairly well. Another good option, and though this one is effective and I believe would have a lot of historical merit, depending on the person you're fighting, they might not feel it, or they might not feel like it was good enough. It might make it less effective because they don't want to take it. So, from your guard position, if you realize you're dealing with someone who is charging or making that committed attack, because you have two kinds of chargers. You got the guy who like goes behind his sword and comes in, and you got the guy who like comes in with his sword chambered, so when he thinks he can make that shot around your blade, he'll do it. That guy often dies on the way in, but did you stop his shot? Because now he thinks, or she thinks, their shot was equally good. So, that charging one, that one works fantastic. The guy who likes to keep his sword back, for example, might also find this is very effective. As they come in, and you're in your guard, and again, I fight in a low guard for a reason, right? As they come in, I remove myself from an easy shot, and I stab towards their knee shin area, right there. Got it? So my body leaves the immediate area, and I'm able to stock thrust into their leg. And again, like I said, in reality, having a sword bust through your knee slash shin area, probably going to screw up your next attack. Probably going to mess up whatever you were trying to do. In a competitive context, that might not work out as well because we're wearing armor and the blow isn't real, and maybe they feel that like a knee shot's not as good as their chest shot they're going to trade you for. So there's just something to be aware of. So ideally, do it with a dagger. If you're fighting them and you can match your dagger to where their blade's coming in, and you get that initial stop thrust step back, also guard. Also guard. Be ready to guard against your opponent's most likely counter shot or thrust that they're trying to make. That's why you take a step back. That's why you involve your extra guard, and don't stop at the thrust, right? If you get that good, step back, throw at their leg, then start stepping back as you add additional parries to try to get away. Last one. On guard. You can also use a parry 2 depending on how your opponent's coming in. Now again, parry 2, and I'll do it sideways. Parry 2 is when I rotate my wrist up, bring the true edge high, so like a 5, but this one I'm pointing away from me. And remember, pommel, hip, tip, opposite hip. That's your angle. If someone throws that overcommitted shot and I'm able to gather them in a 2, I am now aggressively guarding them, right? And get that counter. You can do the same thing with a good 6, you can do the same thing with a good 4, but 2 has that high angle, which will normally throw someone off if they haven't experienced it before, and can be a non-standard parry that will get you, at least make your opponent wary of trying the same thing again. 1 is a wall of steel, right? This provides a very strong parry. 3 is a wall of steel. If you've got someone pushing hard, they've made that attempt and they're just going to try to push and get around your blade or something like that. Because if you catch them in a good 6 and they push hard enough, they'll eventually come around. Don't forget to use your parry 3. So when they come in and you get that initial boom parry and they're really committed on that lunge, they want to come around and they've gotten offline of your tip, don't be afraid to rotate your tip high, your edge wide, right? You can do it with a false edge technically, but I like the true edge, it's stronger. From here, it's very hard. And again, remember that these parries happen away from your body, right? If I've come to that 6 and now I want to force them out with a 3, my edge, sorry dog, my edge is still out, my hand is far away from me still, about that far, right? I'm not doing this all up in my body. All right. Let's practice together a couple times, and I want to do a cool down stretch today because I don't know how many of you guys are doing or if you think about that, but it's another good habit to have, so we'll just do a couple. So from your on guard, we'll start with our modified 1 for a charging opponent. As they charge in, we're going to step back obliquely to a 1, counter cut, again, step back obliquely, counter cut, last 1, stepping back, trying not to hit the roof. All right, parry 1. Let's go for our stop thrust to the leg with a follow-up retreat parry. So from our on guard, we're going to step back, stop thrust, and then we're going to step back again, high-low parries. You can use a 2-7 defense or come to a 5-7, anything that will get you covering your openings as you get out of dodge. Again, stepping back with the thrust, continuing with the parries. Now we're going to make it smooth. So I step back thrust, high-low parry. Last one, we'll do, actually we'll do 2 more. We'll do 6 and then we'll do 2 and then we'll do 6-3. So, coming up to a 2, and I like the counter lunge. 2, counter lunge. Last one, we're going to go 6-3. So coming up to your parry 6, and then rotating it to a 3. And I add that second step back, because if they're really pushing, it gives me more time to react. And don't forget, all of these have the ability to counter from, right? If I get you in a 3, I can easily then realign my tip and counter thrust. Okay. A few more with the 6-3. So from your guard, parry 6, 3, counter lunge. Parry 6, 3, counter lunge. And one more, 6, 3, counter lunge. Okay, we've gone over some concepts for that. We've done a little more workout. Make sure we're working on that thing. I think tomorrow I'll work on disengages. That's what I want to talk about again. Tomorrow we'll talk about disengages. Quick stretches. Legs are a big deal. Legs are a big deal. You got a lot of stuff in there that can go wrong if you don't remember to stretch on occasion. So let me show you a quick stretch I like to do. Sword's a good measure. I go from the pommel to the tip. Now you don't have to be directly at the pommel or directly at the tip, but you know if you're only going this far, you're not doing enough. And if you're doing it this far, you're probably too wide, right? So I'm going to get my sword. I'm going to take my right foot first, Step in front. Now my tip lines up with the hip. My toe lines up with the tip. And my heel's pretty close to the pommel. Close enough, doesn't have to be perfect. It's not a science. Now I want both my hips forward on this one. Don't go wide. I'm going to take my back foot and point my toes forward. I want to keep my heel still on that line, so don't go super wide with this one. That's not the stretch. But I'm going to put both my hips forward, right? Now you got a couple ways to do this one. I like the basic one where you just put your hands up and then fall forward over that very straight front leg until you're down. Now some of you might come here, and that's, I'm going to step back so I'm more in the center. Some of you might come here, that's fine. You don't have to go lower than this. Go till you'll feel the stretch. It's about getting a good stretch and being sword fit. It's not about hurting yourself and not being able to continue sword fighting, right? So, we come over that straight front leg. Now I'm a little flexible. I've been doing this. I can go all the way down, touch the ground. I'm not so flexible I can palm the ground yet, but I can touch the ground. Now remember that hip. Keep it forward. That way you're going to stretch this back part of our hamstring real good. You should hold all your stretches for 8 to 12 seconds minimum. If you like longer, you can hold them longer. But you shouldn't hold them less than that. Otherwise, you're going to mitigate how much of a stretch you get. Now, once you've done with that amount of time, I'm going to bend my knee first. So now I'm in like a demi lunge, right? And come out of it gently. No need to hurt yourself doing this. But you got two legs, so we got to do the other leg. Feet together. Opposite leg forward. Hips forward. Arms up. And fall over that very straight front leg till I'm down. Keep that back hip, both hips pointed forward. Ooh, I can feel that stretch in my left one real good. Again, right in here. That's where you should be feeling it. I can come a little lower. And again, if you're up here or you need to come out of it, don't try hurting yourself. It's not the goal in any stretch. Bending the front leg, come forward. Never underestimate the benefits of a good forward bend. Feet together, arms up high, swan dive forward till you're touching your toes. Now remember, legs are straight in this one. Legs are straight, grab your toes. Now, if you gotta bend your toes, bend your knees, touch your toes, then come up here, come up here. Listen to your flexibility, but always push it till you feel that strain begin. If you're not pushing it that far, you're not going to get much out of your stretch. Now I like to look up first and reverse swan dive up. Helps you stop those head rushes. You can also do a slow roll where you bend your knees slightly and you roll up slow. Also gets the stretch in your back. One more good one, because again I'm staying focused on the legs right now. Quadricep, we got the back side, now we got to get the front side. Important note on this one, some people will screw this up and like come out here or do other things with it. What you want to do is bring your knees together. Bring that foot behind you and keep those knees together. Now if you're more flexible, maybe you're a two-hander. If you're less flexible, maybe you're holding on to something while you do this. It's not a competition, right? This is for you to get better. I know for me, I'm a two-hander. I've been doing this a while. And same rule, you want to hold these 8 to 12 seconds at a minimum. And when you feel you've got that good stretch, release it forward. Don't let yourself fall out of movements. You want to be up here and then like collapse or let it whip out all weird. It can hyperextend you or do other bad things. So slowly come out of your movements, okay? Fake the chair. Two hands. Whatever you need. For some reason my left leg, I can feel that more today. And remember, warm-ups are critical to not getting hurt during whatever you're doing. I don't care what activity it is. It's physical warm-up. And stretches are incredible cool down. They improve your body's longevity and ability to do a bunch of stuff, and they work really good in a cool down. If you're the kind of person that grew up with stretches are a warm-up, and that works for you, go ahead. But modern research has found that apparently stretching is not a great warm-up, but it is a good cool down. All right? Okay, it's enough time. Let me know if you got any other comments. Tomorrow I'm probably going to focus on disengaging and how that can work. And stay safe, everyone. Please give me comments. Makes these easier.